Ever wonder what people were swooning over way back in the medieval period, long before dating apps or even proper plumbing? Did hearts beat faster over brave knights and fair ladies, or was it something totally different? Get ready to uncover the truly intense, sometimes heartbreaking, and always captivating love stories that shaped the world from the 5th to the 15th century. Number 1. Geoffrey Chaucer's Troilus and Criseyde. The medieval period was a time of grand tales, heroic knights, and often extremely complicated love stories. One of the most famous and deeply explored narratives of tragic romance comes from Geoffrey Chaucer, a writer many call the father of English literature. His lengthy poem, Troilus and Criseyde, is a masterpiece that dives deep into the human heart, exploring the joy, the pain, the trust, and the ultimate sorrow of a love that was destined for a fall. Set against the backdrop of the Trojan War, this poem is not just a simple love story. It is a profound examination of destiny, free will, fidelity, and the overwhelming power of love itself. The story begins in the besieged city of Troy. The Trojans are struggling against the Greeks, and life is uncertain. Amidst this turmoil lives Prince Troilus, a son of King Priam. At the start of the poem, Troilus is portrayed as a young man who scoffs at love, mocking those who fall under its spell. He is a brave warrior, focused on battle and duty, convinced that he is immune to the romantic pangs that plague others. This initial portrayal sets up a perfect contrast for the dramatic change that is about to sweep over him. He believes himself above the foolishness of love, yet fate, or perhaps simply the irresistible force of human connection, has a different plan in store for him. One day, during a religious festival in the temple, Troilus glances around, still in his mockingly detached mood about love. His eyes, however, catch sight of Criseyde, a beautiful young widow. Criseyde is the daughter of Calchas, a Trojan priest who has defected to the Greek side, leaving her in a difficult position within Troy. She is seen as vulnerable, though protected by Hector, Troilus' brother. The moment Troilus sees Criseyde, something profound shifts within him. His heart, once so proud and scornful, is pierced by her beauty. It is an instant overwhelming feeling, a sudden realization of attraction that totally shatters his previous disinterest. He finds himself utterly smitten, completely consumed by this new powerful emotion. His world, which was once focused on war and duty, suddenly revolves around the possibility of winning her affection. However, Troilus is not a seasoned lover. He is shy, inexperienced, and consumed by a kind of silent suffering. He keeps his love a secret, agonizing over it in solitude. He cannot eat, cannot sleep, and wastes away with longing. He fears rejection, fears that Criseyde, a woman of such grace and beauty, would never look his way. This secret adoration becomes a heavy burden, causing him great distress. He is caught in a classic courtly love dilemma, loving from afar, idealizing the beloved, and suffering the pangs of unrequited desire, or at least the fear of it remaining unrequited. It is at this crucial point that Troilus' friend and Criseyde's uncle Pandarus steps in. Pandarus is a witty, worldly, and somewhat cynical character, but he genuinely cares for Troilus. He notices Troilus' unusual melancholy and pries the secret out of him. When Troilus finally confesses his love for Criseyde, Pandarus takes on the role of the ultimate matchmaker. He is resourceful and cunning, determined to bring these two together. Pandarus understands the delicate dance of love and the importance of discretion in matters of the heart. He begins a series of careful maneuvers, acting as a go-between, carrying messages and subtly praising each to the other. His clever words and strategic planning are what make the romance possible. Pandarus first approaches Criseyde, subtly introducing the idea that Troilus harbors a secret love for her. Criseyde, being a cautious woman, given her vulnerable position, is initially hesitant and even fearful. She is aware of the gossip and dangers that come with any public attachment. However, Pandarus skillfully persuades her, highlighting Troilus's noble qualities, his sincerity, and his deep affection. He assures her that Troilus is a man of honor, and that their love would be kept secret. Slowly, Criseyde begins to feel a warmth toward Troilus, intrigued by his earnestness and by the idea of being loved so purely. She starts to see him, not just as a prince, but as a potential beloved, a man worthy of her trust and affection. The turning point comes during a carefully orchestrated meeting at Pandarus's house. To Pandarus's elaborate scheme, Troilus and Criseyde are brought together in a secret, intimate setting. It is a night of rain, thunder, and heightened emotion. Troilus, still shy and trembling, is brought to Criseyde's chamber. This is where their love truly blossoms. Their first physical encounter is portrayed with tender intimacy, not just as a physical act, but as a profound emotional union. They confess their love to each other, exchange vows of eternal fidelity, and experience the pure joy of reciprocated affection. Their love is depicted as a source of immense happiness and peace for both of them. Troilus, once so burdened by his secret love, is now transformed into a joyous, confident, and utterly devoted lover. Criseyde, previously cautious and perhaps lonely, finds deep comfort and passion in Troilus's embrace. Their bond is presented as incredibly strong, based on mutual respect, affection, and a shared understanding that transcends the chaos of the war around them. For a period, their love story unfolds in secret bliss. They share stolen moments, passionate nights, and heartfelt conversations, all orchestrated by the ever-watchful Pandarus. Their happiness is profound, a vibrant contrast to the surrounding conflict. They are each other's world, a sanctuary from the harsh realities of war-torn Troy. Troilus becomes an even more valiant knight on the battlefield. Inspired by Criseyde's love, she, in turn, finds strength and joy in his devotion. Their private world is perfect, a testament to the power of shared intimacy and deep emotional connection. They make solemn promises to each other, vows that their love will last forever, no matter what challenges come their way. These promises are spoken with absolute sincerity, reflecting the depth of their commitment and the belief that their bond is unbreakable. However, the shadow of fate and the ongoing war loom large over their happiness. The tragic turn comes when a decision is made to exchange Criseyde for Antenor, a Trojan prisoner held by the Greeks. This exchange is a political necessity meant to secure a valuable asset for Troy. When the news reaches Troilus and Criseyde, it shatters their blissful world. Troilus is absolutely devastated, consumed by despair at the thought of losing her. He cannot fathom life without Criseyde, and the separation feels like a death sentence. He argues against the exchange, pleading with his father, King Priam, but to no avail. The decision is final. Criseyde, too, is heartbroken and filled with dread. She fears the uncertainty of being among the Greeks, separated from her family and, most importantly, from Troilus. She makes a promise to Troilus that she will find a way to return to him within 10 days. This promise is given with tears and earnest sincerity. A desperate attempt to cling to their love in the face of insurmountable odds. Troilus believes her implicitly clinging to the hope that she will find a way back. Their parting is incredibly painful, filled with anguish and the desperate reaffirmation of their love. They cling to each other, unable to let go, their hearts heavy with the impending separation. Criseyde leaves Troy and goes to the Greek camp where she is received by her father, Calchas. Despite her vows and intentions, Criseyde finds herself in an increasingly difficult situation. She is a woman alone in a hostile camp, constantly pressured by her surroundings. Diomede, a powerful and persuasive Greek warrior, quickly sets his sights on her. He is cunning and persistent, subtly trying to win her affection. He understands her vulnerability and uses it to his advantage. Criseyde struggles with her loyalty to Troilus. She loves him. She remembers their vows and she truly intends to return. However, as the 10 days pass and then more time, the harsh realities of her situation begin to weigh on her. She feels isolated, vulnerable, and the prospect of returning to Troy becomes increasingly dangerous and uncertain. Troilus meanwhile waits anxiously in Troy, counting the days, clinging to Criseyde's promise. He spends his days looking out from the city walls, hoping to see her return, desperately searching for any sign of her. His hope slowly turns into agonizing despair as the days turn into weeks, and Criseyde does not come back. He is heartbroken, confused, and tormented by her absence. He sends her letters full of his longing and questions, but her replies become less frequent and less comforting. His faith in her begins to waver, replaced by a growing sense of betrayal and profound sorrow. Eventually, the tragic truth unfolds. Criseyde, swayed by Diomede's persistence and the necessity of her situation, succumbs to his advances. She gives herself to him, breaking her vow to Troilus. This is the ultimate betrayal, the shattering of the beautiful trust and loyalty they had shared. Chaucer does not portray Criseyde as simply malicious or fickle. Instead, he paints her as a complex character, a woman caught in a difficult position, struggling with fear, loneliness, and the pragmatic need for security in a dangerous world. Her actions are shown to be a result of human frailty and the overwhelming pressures of circumstances, rather than a deliberate act of cruelty. When Troilus finally realizes the truth through a series of undeniable proofs, his world collapses. He is utterly devastated, his love and hope replaced by immense grief and a feeling of profound betrayal. His heartbroken anguish is deeply moving. He sees his love, once so pure and all-consuming, utterly destroyed. He goes into battle with a new ferocity, seeking death, no longer caring for his own life. He is ultimately killed by Achilles, the greatest of the Greek warriors. His death marks the ultimate end of their tragic love story, a love that began with such passion and joy, but ended in heartbreak, betrayal, and death. Chaucer's portrayal of Troilus and Criseyde is remarkably sophisticated for its time. It delves into the psychology of love, the complexities of human motivation, and the effects of fate and circumstance on individual lives. It is a story not just about falling in love, but about how love changes people, how it can bring immense joy and equally immense sorrow. The poem explores the ideals of courtly love, the intense devotion, the suffering of the lover, the idealization of the beloved, but it also grounds these ideals in the messy reality of human emotions and external pressures. The relationship between Troilus and Criseyde is a tender, passionate bond, full of shared intimacy and deep emotional connection. Their moments of shared happiness are vividly depicted, highlighting the pure joy that love can bring. Their separation and the eventual betrayal are painful to read, illustrating the fragility of human promises and the devastating impact of loss. The poem is a profound exploration of what it means to love deeply, to trust fully, and to experience the bitter taste of betrayal. It asks questions about fidelity, about the nature of truth in love, and about the forces that shape human destiny. Troilus's unwavering devotion, even in the face of betrayal, dews the depth of his character and the jotting power of his love. Criseyde's struggles in her ultimate choice highlight the complexities of human choice when faced with overwhelming circumstances. The enduring power of Troilus and Criseyde lies in its ability to capture the universal experience of love, its intoxicating highs, its agonizing lows, and its lasting impact on the human soul, making it an undeniable romantic masterpiece from the medieval period. Number 2. Marie de France's L'Envol. Step into the world of medieval enchantment, where valiant knights and mysterious ladies often find love in the most unexpected and secret places. One of the most captivating romantic tales from this era comes from Marie de France, a remarkable 12th century poet, often considered the earliest known female French poet. Her collection of short narrative poems, known as the Lays, are jewels of medieval literature, blending elements of courtly love folklore and magic. Among these, The Lie of L'Envol stands out as a powerful and deeply romantic story about a knight, a fairy queen, and a love that defies the ordinary world. The story begins in King Arthur's court, a place usually synonymous with glory and honor. However, among the many noble knights there is one Launfal who is often overlooked. He is a brave and courteous knight, but he is a stranger in a foreign land and lacks the wealth and connections to gain the king's favor. He receives no gifts, no lands, and no recognition from King Arthur, despite his loyalty and service. This neglect leaves Launfal feeling isolated and dejected. A lonely figure in a bustling court, he feels like an outsider, unappreciated and forgotten. This initial setup immediately creates sympathy for Launfal and sets the stage for a dramatic change in his fortunes, all brought about by an extraordinary encounter. One day, feeling particularly melancholic and dispirited, Launfal rides out of the city and into a secluded meadow. He dismounts and lies beneath a tree, lost in his thoughts of sorrow and neglect. It is in this moment of solitude that his life takes an unexpected turn. Suddenly, he sees two beautiful young women approaching him. They are exquisitely dressed, carrying elegant basins and towels, and they invite him to follow them. Intrigued, and perhaps a little bewildered, Launfal rises and follows them to a magnificent pavilion, a dwelling of incredible luxury and beauty that seems to have appeared out of thin air. The pavilion is adorned with rich fabrics, gold and precious stones, indicating a realm beyond the ordinary. Inside the pavilion, Launfal discovers an even more astonishing sight. Reclining on a lavish bed is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. She is clearly a lady of immense power and supernatural beauty, dressed in flowing robes of silk and ermine, radiating an otherworldly grace. This is the Fairy Queen, a figure from another dimension, a realm of magic and timeless beauty. Her beauty is described as utterly captivating, surpassing that of any mortal woman. Launfal is instantly smitten, overwhelmed by her presence and her ethereal charm. He falls deeply in love at first sight, recognizing her as the woman he has unknowingly longed for. The Fairy Queen immediately recognizes Launfal's true worth, his noble heart and his honorable nature, even though King Arthur has overlooked him. She confesses that she has traveled a great distance, specifically to find him, because she has heard of his virtues and his suffering. She tells him that she loves him and wishes to make him her lover. This is a powerful moment of affirmation for Launfal, who has felt so unvalued. She offers him not only her love but also immense wealth and prosperity, far beyond anything he could ever dream of in Arthur's court. She promises him endless riches, enough to make him the most generous and well-regarded knight in the kingdom, as long as he remains devoted to her. This offer of love and fortune is overwhelming for Launfal, transforming his despair into unimaginable joy. However, her extraordinary offer comes with a crucial condition, a secret vow that must never be broken. The Fairy Queen tells Launfal that their love must remain a complete secret. He must never reveal her existence or their relationship to anyone, especially not to King Arthur or his court. If he ever breaks this vow, she warns him, he will lose her forever, and all the wealth and happiness she has bestowed upon him will vanish. This secrecy is a common theme in medieval courtly love, often adding an element of danger and heightened passion to the forbidden romance. Launfal, completely enamored and overjoyed by his newfound love and fortune, vowing to keep their secret forever. He feels like the luckiest man alive, believing that he can easily uphold this single promise in exchange for such boundless love and fortune. From that day forward, Launfal's life is completely transformed. Thanks to the Fairy Queen's magical generosity, he becomes incredibly wealthy and generous, showering gifts on his fellow knights and helping those in need. He is no longer overlooked. He is admired and respected by everyone in the court. His armor is richer, his horses finer, and his hospitality unmatched. Yet despite his newfound popularity and prosperity, his heart remains entirely devoted to his secret lover. Whenever he wishes to see her, she appears seemingly out of nowhere, allowing them to share intimate moments of love and companionship, always in secret. Their love is pure and passionate, a hidden treasure that brings Lanval immense joy and fulfillment. He guards their secret fiercely, understanding that his happiness depends entirely on his discretion. The romance continues in blissful secrecy for a time. But the court of King Arthur, especially Queen Guinevere, begins to notice Lanval's sudden prosperity and his curious lack of interest in the ladies of the court. Queen Guinevere, known for her beauty and perhaps a touch of vanity, is accustomed to receiving attention from all the knights. One day she propositions Lanval, making it clear that she desires him. Lanval, utterly devoted to his fairy queen and bound by his vow of secrecy, politely but firmly rejects her advances. He tells her that he could never betray his loyalty to King Arthur, and more importantly, he states that he loves a lady so beautiful that even the queen's plainest maid would surpass Guinevere in beauty. This statement, though intended to emphasize the unparalleled beauty of his secret lover, is a grave error. It is a direct boast, a breach of his sacred vow of secrecy, and a deeply insulting comparison to the proud Queen Guinevere. Queen, enraged and humiliated by Lanval's rejection and his comparison, immediately accuses him of insulting her and attempting to seduce her. She twists his words, presenting herself as the victim, and accusing Lanval of grave disrespect and treason against the king. Her fury is immense, and she demands justice. King Arthur, hearing his queen's accusations, is furious and orders Lanval to be arrested and put on trial. The charge is serious, insulting the queen and attempting to shame her. Lanval is in a terrible predicament. He cannot reveal the truth about his fairy queen without breaking his vow, which would mean losing her forever. Yet if he does not explain himself, he faces severe punishment, possibly even death. He is heartbroken, knowing that he has broken his promise and believing he has lost his beloved fairy queen. He is filled with despair, knowing that he has brought this disaster upon himself. The trial is a tense affair. Lanval's accusers present their case, and he stands silent, unable to defend himself truthfully. His fellow knights who have witnessed his generosity and honor are torn. They believe in his integrity, but are bound by the queen's accusation. They advise him to reveal the identity of the lady he spoke of, hoping that if she is as beautiful as he claimed, she might prove his innocence. But Lanval, remembering his vow and believing he has already lost her, remains silent, suffering profoundly. He feels the weight of his broken promise and the crushing despair of his impending doom. Just as the judgment is about to be pronounced and Lanval's fate seems sealed, a remarkable and miraculous event occurs. Two maidens, even more beautiful than the first two, who led Lanval to the pavilion, ride into the court. They are dressed in splendid robes and announce the arrival of their lady. Soon after, the fairy queen herself appears, riding on a magnificent white palfrey, radiating an almost blinding beauty. Her presence instantly silences the court. Her grace and splendor are undeniable, captivating everyone who sees her. She is even more glorious than Lanval had described, a vision of absolute perfection. The fairy queen addresses King Arthur, calmly explaining that Lanval has been falsely accused. She confirms that he rejected the queen because he was already in love with her, a lady of far greater beauty. To prove Lanval's claim in her own existence, she asks for a basin of water to be brought. She takes a drop of the water and lets it fall on Queen Guinevere's cheek. The touch of the water reveals that the queen had lied, proving her guilt, and Lanval's innocence. The proof is undeniable. The court is stunned, and King Arthur recognizes the truth. Lanval is completely exonerated, his honor restored and his life saved. With his name cleared and his honor redeemed, Lanval is free. The fairy queen, having saved him then, takes him with her. She springs onto her palfrey, and Lanval, seizing his chance, leaps onto the horse behind her. Together, they ride away from King Arthur's court, disappearing into the enchanted realm from which she came. They are never seen again in the mortal world. The story concludes with their departure, leaving the reader with the image of their eternal love, continuing in a magical land. This ending emphasized the supernatural and everlasting nature of their bond, a love too perfect for the ordinary world. Lanval chooses to leave the familiar world of knights and kings for a life of eternal happiness, with his true love, a testament to the irresistible power of their romantic connection. Marie de France, Lamballe, is a beautiful example of how romantic love in the medieval period was often portrayed as an escape from mundane reality, a connection that could transcend social status and even the laws of the physical world. The story explores themes of loyalty, secrecy, sacrifice, and the ultimate triumph of true love over adversity. The Fairy Queen represents an idealized form of love, a perfect match that offers not just companionship, but also profound understanding and fulfillment. Lanval's devotion to her, even when faced with dire consequences, highlights the depth of his commitment. The breaking of the vow, while a moment of weakness, ultimately leads to the dramatic and glorious intervention of his beloved, proving the strength of their bond. The poem celebrates a love that is pure, exclusive, and magical, a love that saves and elevates the one who embraces it. Number 3. Dante Alighieri's La Vita Nuova. When we talk about medieval romance, we often picture knights and ladies. But sometimes the most profound and influential love stories are deeply personal, spiritual, and utterly. Such is the case with Dante Alighieri's La Vita Nuova, or The New Life. A groundbreaking work written in the late 13th century. Dante, a towering figure of Italian literature, famously known for his epic Divine Comedy, first poured his heart and soul into this smaller, more intimate collection of poems and prose. La Vita Nuova is a lyrical, heartfelt account of Dante's intense, lifelong love for Beatrice Portinari, a love that shaped his entire worldview and artistic output. It's a love story that transcends the physical, reaching into the spiritual and the divine, coding a form of romantic devotion that was revolutionary for its time. The narrative of La Vita Nuova is presented as Dante's personal journey of love and grief. Recounted chronologically, he begins by describing his very first encounter with Beatrice. He was just 9 years old and she was slightly younger. Even at this tender age, her appearance had a profound and unforgettable impact on him. He describes her dressed in a noble crimson gown, and her presence was so powerful that it stirred his spirit and marked the very beginning of his new life. His Vita Nuova, which would be defined by his love for her. This initial meeting, though brief and childlike, is portrayed as a pivotal moment, a divine revelation that set the course of his existence. It was not a childish crush, but a moment of spiritual awakening, an instant recognition of a soulmate destined to influence him deeply. 9 years later, when Dante is 18, he encounters Beatrice again. This second meeting is just as able, solidifying the profound effect she has on him. She greets him in the street, offering him a gracious salutation. This simple act of acknowledgement from Beatrice fills Dante with an overwhelming sense of bliss. Her greeting, a mere gesture, is described as having the power to inspire and bring immense joy, making him feel blessed beyond measure. This moment reinforces her almost angelic status in his mind. For Dante, Beatrice is not merely a beautiful woman. She is a conduit to something higher, a source of spiritual inspiration and moral goodness. Her presence makes him feel uplifted, pure, and more aligned with divine grace. Dante's love for Beatrice is characterized by the ideals of courtly love, but taken to an extreme, almost spiritual level. He loves her from afar, idealizing her and cherishing every fleeting glance or rare greeting. His devotion is so intense that it becomes a source of both immense joy and profound suffering. He writes poems praising her beauty, her virtue, and the spiritual effects she has on him. He describes how her mere presence makes him tremble, how it elevates his thoughts, and how it inspires him to write verses that attempt to capture her divine essence. His love for her makes him a better person, inspiring him to seek truth and goodness. Keeps his love a secret, carefully guarding his feelings and pretending to be interested in other women, to deflect attention from his true object of affection. This secrecy is a typical element of courtly love, adding to the intensity and purity of his devotion. A significant part of La Vita Nuova explores Dante's internal struggles and the misunderstandings that arise from his secret love. To protect Beatrice's reputation and the sanctity of his true feelings, Dante pretends to be interested in other women, using them as screen ladies to hide his genuine affection for Beatrice. This strategy backfires when Beatrice, perhaps hurt or misinformed by gossip, withdraws her greeting from him. This withdrawal is a devastating blow to Dante. Losing her salutation, which he considers a source of profound spiritual blessing, plunges him into deep despair. He describes feeling immense pain and sorrow, as if his very life force has been diminished. This moment highlights the extraordinary power Beatrice holds over his emotional and spiritual well-being. Despite his suffering, Dante continues to write poems dedicated to Beatrice, exploring the nature of her beauty, her virtue, and the unique effect she has on him. He comes to understand that his true joy lies not in receiving her greeting, but in praising her. He realizes that his love for her is so pure and transcendent that it does not require reciprocation or outward acknowledgement. His love becomes self-sufficient, finding its purpose in the act of adoration and poetic creation. This marks a profound shift in his understanding of love, moving it from a personal desire to a more selfless and spiritual devotion. He seeks solace in his writing, transforming his sorrow into art that celebrates her divine nature. Then comes the most tragic event in La Vita Nuova, the death of Beatrice. This event is a monumental shock that completely shatters Dante's world. He describes his overwhelming grief with raw emotion. Her passing leaves him in a state of profound sorrow, feeling utterly lost and desolate. The world seems darker, emptier, without her. His despair is intense, and he feels a deep sense of loneliness and loss. The loss of Beatrice, his spiritual guide and the source of his inspiration, pushes him to the brink of emotional collapse. Yet, even in death, Beatrice continues to be the central figure in Dante's life and work. His love for her transcends mortality. He sees her as elevated to heaven, now existing in an even purer, more divine state. Her death does not end his love. Instead, it transforms it, making it even more spiritual and ethereal. He dedicates himself to writing about her in a way that no woman has ever been written about before. He vows to write a work that will make her name known throughout the world, a promise that he would eventually fulfill with his Divine Comedy. This dedication reflects the depth of his devotion and the enduring impact she had on him, even after her physical departure. Dante's La Vita Nuova is a testament to the power of idealized love. It's a love story where the beloved is seen not just as an individual, but as a symbol of divine beauty, virtue, and grace. Beatrice is a source of spiritual transformation for Dante, inspiring him to higher thoughts and artistic endeavors. His love for her is not a fleeting passion, but a lifelong devotion that shapes his identity and his literary output. The poem explores themes of beauty, virtue, death, and the redemptive power of love. It's a love that purifies, inspires, and ultimately leads to a deeper understanding of God and the universe. The romance in La Vita Nuova is unique because it's less about physical interaction and more about emotional and spiritual connection. It highlights a form of courtly love that evolved beyond earthly desires into something sacred and transcendent. Dante's intense emotional reactions to Beatrice, from the ecstasy of her greeting to the profound despair of her absence and death, vividly convey the depth of his feelings. His meticulous recording of his internal states, his dreams, and his poetic inspirations provides an intimate look into the mind of a lover, consumed by an almost divine passion. This work stands as a monumental example of how a love seemingly unrequited in the conventional sense can be profoundly romantic and transform a person's entire existence. guiding them towards a higher purpose and inspiring a person's entire existence, guiding them towards a higher purpose and inspiring immortal art. Number 4. The Tale of Tristan and Isolde. Prepare yourself for a love story that is both incredibly passionate and devastatingly tragic. A narrative that has echoed through the centuries, captivating audiences long before modern romance novels existed. Tale of Tristan and Isolde is not a single poem by one author, but rather a legendary cycle of poetic versions across different languages, from the French Romans by authors like Thomas of Britain and Barreau to German and Norse adaptations. These poetic narratives collectively tell the story of a fated, forbidden love, a bond so powerful it defies kings, loyalties, and even death. It is a story of intense desire, loyalty, betrayal, and an enduring connection born from a single, unforgettable mistake. The story typically begins with Tristan, a young knight renowned for his courage, musical talent, and loyalty. He is the nephew of King Mark of Cornwall, a ruler who deeply trusts and cares for Tristan. Mark is aging and childless, and his barons urge him to marry and secure an heir. Reluctantly, Mark agrees, and the choice falls upon Isolde, the beautiful Princess of Ireland. Isolde is known throughout the lands for her stunning beauty, her golden hair, and her regal bearing. Tristan is given the important and honorable task of escorting Isolde from Ireland to Cornwall, where she is to marry his uncle, King Mark. This is a journey that will forever alter the lives of all three. During the sea voyage, a fateful mistake occurs. Isolde's mother, knowing the difficulties of a royal marriage, had prepared a powerful love potion intended for Isolde and King Mark to drink on their wedding night. This potion was meant to bind them in an unbreakable, passionate love, ensuring their happiness and the stability of the kingdom. However, through a tragic misunderstanding, Tristan and Isolde accidentally drink the potion themselves. They mistake it for wine, a casual drink shared to quench their thirst. The moment the potion passes their lips, an immediate and overwhelming transformation occurs. An intense, undeniable love ignites between them, a love that is beyond their control, beyond their reason, and utterly passionate. They are bound together by an irresistible force, a magical compulsion that links their hearts and souls in an instant. This is not a slow burn or a gentle affection. It is a fiery, all-consuming passion that strikes them with the force of destiny. From that moment on, Tristan and Isolde are hopelessly, irrevocably in love. Their bond is immediate and absolute, overriding all other considerations. They find themselves drawn to each other with an intensity that is both intoxicating and... They know that Isolde is destined to marry King Mark, Tristan's beloved uncle and sovereign. Their love is forbidden, a betrayal of loyalty and honor, yet they are powerless to resist its pull. Potion has forged an unbreakable connection between them, a bond that makes all other relationships pale in comparison. They spend the rest of the voyage in a haze of newfound passion, fully aware of the impossibility of their situation, yet unable to deny their feelings. Upon their arrival in Cornwall, Isolde marries King Mark as planned. The wedding ceremony is performed, and Mark, initially pleased with his beautiful bride, has no idea of the secret that binds her to his nephew. Tristan and Isolde are forced to maintain a facade of proper behavior, hiding their forbidden love from the king and the entire court. They become masters of deception, finding secret ways to meet, to exchange glances, and to reaffirm their passionate bond. These stolen moments are filled with intense longing and desperate affection. They develop elaborate schemes to evade detection, using clever servants and secret signals to arrange their encounters. The risk of discovery is constant, adding a thrilling and dangerous edge to their romance. Every shared touch, every whispered word, every moment together is precious and fraught with peril. Their clandestine meetings become a desperate necessity, a way to sustain the intense love that burns between them. However, their secret love is too intense to remain entirely hidden. Courtiers, particularly some envious barons, begin to suspect the truth. They notice the unusual closeness between Tristan and Isolde, the way their eyes meet, and the signs of a love that transcends the formal relationship between a queen and her husband's nephew. The jealous courtiers spread rumors and actively try to expose them. They use cunning tricks and traps trying to catch the lovers in the act. Mark, deeply fond of Tristan and trusting of Isolde, is initially reluctant to believe the accusations. He is torn between his love for his wife and nephew and the growing evidence and whispers around him. This creates a painful conflict for Mark as he tries to maintain peace in his court while grappling with the possibility of betrayal. Several dramatic episodes occur where Tristan and Isolde are almost discovered, and their cleverness and shared wit are put to the test. One famous example involves them sleeping with a sword placed between them in bed to symbolize their chastity, if found, or when they exchange positions to avoid being seen together. Despite their efforts, the evidence becomes too strong, and Mark is eventually forced to acknowledge the undeniable truth of their affair. His heart is broken by the betrayal, and he feels a deep sense of pain from those he loved and trusted most. The discovery leads to dramatic confrontations, accusations, and heartbreaking separations. Mark, devastated by the betrayal but still deeply conflicted, initially attempts to punish them. In some versions, he condemns them to death only for them to escape. In other versions, he banishes Tristan, separating the lovers and inflicting immense suffering upon them. Tristan is exiled from Cornwall, forced to wander in foreign lands, always longing for Isolde. The separation is agonizing for both of them. They pine for each other, haunted by the memory of their shared passion and the unbreakable bond of the love potion. Tristan's wanderings are filled with despair, and Isolde's life in the court becomes a lonely existence, devoid of true happiness. During his exile, Tristan falls ill and becomes gravely weak. In one of the most poignant episodes, he marries another Isolde, Isolde of the White Hands, a woman who resembles his beloved Isolde but lacks her spirit. This marriage is one of convenience and desperation, a futile attempt to fill the void left by his true love. However, his heart remains entirely devoted to Isolde of Ireland, and he is unable to truly love his wife. This second marriage only highlights the unique and irreplaceable nature of his bond with the first Isolde. Eventually, Tristan is wounded with a poisoned spear, a wound that can only be healed by Isolde of Ireland, who possesses unique medical knowledge inherited from her mother. Desperate and dying, Tristan sends for her. He sends a ship with a specific signal. If Isolde is on board, the ship should raise a white sail. If she is not coming, it should raise a black sail. As the ship approaches the coast, Tristan's jealous wife, Isolde of the White Hands, out of bitterness and despair, sees the white sail, but lies to Tristan, telling him that the sail is black. Overcome with grief and believing that his beloved has abandoned him, Tristan dies of despair. When Isolde of Ireland finally arrives and sees Tristan's lifeless body, she is overwhelmed with grief. The news of his death shatters her. She collapses beside him, her heart breaking from the profound loss. In a powerful demonstration of their unbreakable bond, she dies herself, either from sorrow or by laying beside him, her life fading as her soul reunites with his. The tale often concludes with their bodies laid to rest together, and from their graves two intertwined trees, a vine and a rosebush, grow and intertwine, symbolizing their eternal, inseparable love. Even in death, the tale of Tristan and Isolde is a quintessential medieval romance because it explores the most intense aspects of passionate love. It delves into the themes of fate, as their love is caused by a magical potion, suggesting it was destined. It examines the conflict between passionate love and societal duty, honor and loyalty. Their love is raw, elemental, and uncontrollable, often leading to suffering and tragedy. Yet it is also portrayed as the purest and most authentic form of love. They experience The story emphasizes the idea that true love can defy all obstacles, even if it leads to destruction. The lovers' desperate attempts to maintain their secret, their willingness to sacrifice everything for stolen moments, and their ultimate inability to live without each other, vividly portray the depth and power of their romantic connection. This tale is a timeless reminder that love in its most profound forms can be both a blessing and a curse, capable of bringing immense joy and unbearable sorrow. Number 5. The Roman de la Rose, Guillaume de Loris's part. Imagine stepping into a dream world, a vivid allegory where every character is an emotion or an abstract idea, and the entire landscape is a metaphor for the journey of love. That's precisely what readers encountered with the Roman de la Rose, or Romance of the Rose, a monumental medieval French poem that became one of the most widely read and influential works of its time. Written in 2 distinct parts by 2 different authors, we are focusing on the first part, penned by Guillaume de Loris around the 1230s. This initial section is a beautiful and refined exploration of courtly love, presented as a dream vision where a young lover pursues a rose, symbolizing his beloved lady. It's an intricate and captivating depiction of the initial stages of romance, full of longing, hope, and the delicate dance of courtship. The poem begins with the narrator, the lover, recounting a dream he had in the springtime, a time often associated with renewal, beauty, and love. The dream takes him to a beautiful enclosed garden, a symbolic space known as the Garden of Idleness. This garden is not just a physical place, it's a perfect, idyllic setting that represents the idealized world of courtly love, a place free from the harsh realities of life. The entrance to this garden is guarded by an allegorical figure called hate, and other undesirable emotions like felony and villainy, symbolizing that only those with pure intentions and gentle hearts can enter the realm of true love. Once inside, the lover is greeted by Lady Idleness herself, who allows him to enter, signifying that the pursuit of love requires leisure and freedom from worldly cares. Within the Garden of Idleness, the lover encounters a series of allegorical figures, each representing an aspect of courtly behavior, beauty, or a step in the process of love. These figures are not mere abstractions. They interact with the lover, offering advice, setting challenges, or embodying the very qualities needed to succeed in love. He meets figures like beauty, richness, courtesy, and frankness, all qualities that an ideal lady possesses, or that a lover should cultivate. Their presence sets the scene for the ideal romantic encounter, emphasizing the virtues and graces that define the world of courtly love. The central object of the lover's desire and the core symbol of the poem is the rose. The rose is not just a flower, it represents the beloved lady, her beauty, her purity, and ultimately the culmination of the lover's romantic quest, her love and affection. The lover spots the rose among many other flowers, and it instantly captivates him. He is drawn to its exquisite beauty and its alluring scent. This moment is the traditional love at first sight, where the ideal beloved is recognized and the lover's heart is instantly seized by desire. He feels an overwhelming urge to possess it, to gain its favor and to pluck it. At this point, the god of love himself appears to the lover. The god of love is a powerful figure who instructs the lover on the rules and conventions of courtly love. He shoots 5 arrows into the lover's heart, each representing a different aspect of love: beauty, simplicity, courtesy, companionship, and fair seeming. These arrows awaken the lover's senses and emotions, making him fully susceptible to the joys and pains of love. The god of love then gives the lover a set of commandments, a sort of code of conduct for a true courtly lover. These commandments emphasize loyalty, humility, patience, secrecy, and constant devotion to the beloved. The lover must serve his lady faithfully, endure suffering for her sake, and always remain hopeful, no matter the obstacles. He must also keep his love a secret, never boasting about his feelings, and always acting with discretion. As the lover tries to approach the rose, he encounters various obstacles, often personified as other allegorical figures. These figures represent the challenges and difficulties inherent in the pursuit of love. One of the primary obstacles is danger. Danger, a stern and forbidding character, who guards the rose representing the beloved's initial reluctance, or perhaps the fear of reputation. Other figures like Malabouche, evil mouth slander, embody the gossip and social judgment that can harm a budding romance. Jealousy creates a wall around the rose, symbolizing the protective instincts or possessiveness that can arise. These obstacles make the lover's quest arduous, forcing him to overcome various emotional and social barriers. Despite these challenges, the lover is aided by benevolent, allegorical figures who help him in his pursuit. These figures represent the positive qualities or helpful influences that assist a lover. Fair, welcome, belle action is one such figure, personifying the lady's initial kindness and encouraging glances, which give the lover hope. Pity and franchise also assist him, representing the compassionate side of the lady and her willingness to be open. Reason, however, offers a different path, advising the lover to abandon the pursuit of love, which she portrays as a source of folly and suffering. But the lover, consumed by passion, rejects reason's logical counsel, choosing instead to follow the dictates of his heart, emphasizing the powerful, almost irrational nature of love. Through a series of negotiations and small victories, the lover slowly gains ground. With the help of fair, welcome, and other friendly figures, he is granted small favors from the rose. He is allowed to kiss the bud of the rose, a symbolic step forward in his romantic progress, representing a moment of intimate connection or a sign of reciprocated affection. This is a moment of immense joy and triumph for the lover, a validation of his perseverance and devotion. However, this small triumph also triggers the strong negative reactions of the opposing allegorical figures. Jealousy becomes enraged and imprisons fair welcome, and the rose is placed under even stricter guard, creating new, more formidable obstacles for the lover. Guillaume de Loris's part of the Roman de la Rose ends with the lover in a state of continued longing and frustration. He has made progress, tasted a moment of success, but is still far from fully possessing the rose. The poem concludes with the lover lamenting his difficulties and the harsh conditions under which the rose is now kept. This ending reflects the ongoing nature of the courtly love quest, which often emphasizes the journey and the suffering of the lover more than the ultimate fulfillment. The first part of the poem is a detailed and highly symbolic portrayal of the initial stages of love, the awakening of desire, the rules of courtship, the various emotions involved, and the external and internal obstacles that lovers must overcome. The romance in Guillaume de Loris's Roman de la Rose is pure courtly love in its essence. It highlights the idealization of the beloved, the intense desire of the lover, the necessity of secrecy and discretion, and the suffering endured in the pursuit of affection. The allegorical structure allows for a detailed psychological exploration of the romantic experience, breaking down the complex emotions and social interactions into distinct, understandable characters. It shows love as a complex, often challenging journey that requires patience, perseverance, and adherence to a specific code of conduct. The poem teaches about the refined art of courtship, the importance of appearance and behavior, and the value of humility and service. In winning a lady's favor, it vividly captures the universal experience of longing, the thrill of small victories, and the despair of setbacks in the pursuit of true affection. The influence of this poem on medieval and later literature was immense, shaping ideas about love, romance, and the intricate dance between lovers for centuries. It remains a fascinating and deeply romantic work, showing how medieval poets understood and celebrated the complex journey of the heart